As soon as you have a hint that something is not what it seems, it's chaos. Everything is collapsing one after the other like dominoes. I don't think we are late to the party yet. I think this is still something very new. The value of what we have, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum or other cryptocurrencies, this price that you see is reached because people believe in it for the future. In the last bull runs in 2017, in 2020, etc., the regulators or the lawmakers or the politicians were always speaking very negatively about this industry. But what we saw in the last 2 years, let's say, is that they changed their tone. They started saying, we want to become a crypto hub, we want to build regulation, we want to make it safe, there's so much potential, so much value. There's always going to be more other investments, more coins that come into the table, and you never know, you might be one of the first investors there.
Having my success story.
Exactly. And I started watching the chart, and the chart is just going up. And my $5 became like $200. And I remember I turned my face for a split second and I go back and I just see red line. Start slow, gradually grow, build your confidence, and that's the right way to do it.
Welcome to another episode of Market Talks podcast. Today I am joined by Marwan Abuaita, a cryptocurrency expert with over 10 years of experience and one of the few people in the world who holds the master's degree in digital currencies. Together we will discuss the trends shaping the future of cryptocurrencies. Welcome, Marwan.
Thank you very much for having me.
Nice to have you on our podcast. Tell us a bit about yourself. How would you describe yourself and your interest in cryptocurrencies?
So my background is in fintech, in financial technology, trading, payments, and so on. Cryptocurrency plays a big role in all of that. So one of the first projects that I worked on had to do with cryptocurrencies, and that's how I slowly got into it.
Mm-hmm. And before that, your studies, what did you do?
So I did management and philosophy at university, and actually as I got into cryptocurrencies, I decided to pursue a master's degree in digital currency in Nicosia.
I understand that you saw the potential in digital currencies long before any of us, most probably, right?
It's very nice to say, but of course, what intrigued me about this technology is this form of decentralization, right?
Mm-hmm.
We live our daily lives, always have to depend on these different institutions and entities. And what cryptocurrencies brought, or blockchain technology brought to us, was the ability to be in a form of decentralized way, have trust, especially trust online, and it gave us different options, parallel paths to take.
We spoke before a bit, and you had this curiosity about Bitcoin. I wanted to know how to explain to our audience a bit about that story.
I love mystery, yeah? So as soon as I started learning about Bitcoin and understanding how it works, I discovered that nobody actually knows who created it. And this person, thing, he, she, it, group called Satoshi Nakamoto. And considering the world that we live in that is full of surveillance, everyone knows everything, someone to create such a big phenomenon and not to be known, it grabs you, right?
Wow, yeah.
Exactly.
So the curiosity won there.
Exactly.
Perfect. Yeah. Let's start simple. What exactly is a cryptocurrency in the most simple possible way?
Yeah, so cryptocurrencies is one of the first applications of blockchain technology, which is something that allows a community of people to be able to interact with each other online, and in a way that forms without having the issue of trust. And through this technology and the various consensus mechanisms that come with it, they are able to interact and create businesses or create value without the need of centralized parties.
Great. And what is, we all have this, question in mind, the difference between Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum and stablecoins. What is the main difference, maybe?
So Bitcoin is, acts as a store of value. It's meant to be some sort of digital gold. Ethereum, you would say, is more of a utility. So something like gas or oil, something that you would use. And the stable coins is just the cryptocurrency or the digital representation of your normal dollars, euros.
Looking at the history of cryptocurrencies, from Bitcoin's first launch and this historic moment of the pizza guy, you remember that story?
Mhm.
Yes. And it's 124K of all-time highs in 2025. What would you say was the turning point that led to mass adoption?
Well, that's an interesting terminology, mass adoption, because you think that it's already become such a global phenomenon, but I think it's not yet there. Once you start using it for your daily, use, like buying your groceries in it and so on, that's when you say that everyone has adopted it. But now I would say that Bitcoin has its highs and lows because it's trendy. People get into it just because they hear about it from their colleagues or neighbors or friends and so on. But to truly get to the terminology, to attribute to it that it's achieved mass adoption, there needs to be much more development and making it more friendly to be used by the general public. Yeah.
So you believe it's more that people don't want to miss out in a way, they want to be in the trend of having Bitcoin percentage, but also the system of Bitcoin, let's say, in a way, doesn't help us to have it more in our lives.
Yes, it's still complicated how to use it, how to control it, and have it in your phone or in your wallet and so on. And well, as we progress, it's just becoming easier and easier. So mass adoption is surely around the corner.
And do you think they need a lot of time still for that?
It's difficult to say because it's such a new thing that you don't even know if Bitcoin is the flagship of cryptocurrency. When Ethereum was introduced, everyone thought Bitcoin is all that it is. And then Ethereum came into the picture and they realized there's different forms of cryptocurrencies, different applications for it. So you never know what's coming in the future, something that might overthrow Bitcoin as the king of cryptocurrencies.
Beyond the investing, what are the real world uses of blockchain today? And maybe we can explain a bit what blockchain is also, because we listen to that word and not everyone knows.
Yeah, so blockchain technology is simply just a distributed ledger. So what that means is I say X equals Y, you say X equals Y, we are both in agreement, we sign a block. And we say this block means X equals Y. And then someone else joins the conversation and they say Y equals Z. If I agree and you don't agree, we don't put a block. So it's all about us reaching an agreement.
And who is us?
Whoever is running this technology, whatever server, node, usually they're referenced as nodes. And as you build these blocks, you start building legitimacy because there's multiple facts that you've already had. So Bitcoin, for example, the reason why it's such a popular and verified system is because there is millions of people building these blocks and are in agreement around and are in sync on what is the true state of this system.
Yes.
So this is what blockchain technology is.
In your experience, how realistic is crypto as a form of payment in 2026?
It is realistic. It is there. It's especially when it comes to cross-border transfers. Sometimes it's easier to do payments in cryptocurrencies than going through the banks and dealing with all the complications of that.
Yes.
However, also I would not fall into the trap on saying, because you might find your crypto colleague, let's say, with a crypto card claiming that he's paying with crypto. That's not really true.
It's not, because I know a couple of people who say that also.
Well,
they do have a card.
It's kind of a shortcut, I would say, because
Yes.
what's actually happening is there's a system in between, there's a service in between that is selling your cryptocurrencies into dollars, and then you're actually just paying in dollars. So when you say crypto as a payment, I pay in crypto and the other person receives it in crypto, not there is some sort of change in the middle.
Yeah, but they change it.
Exactly. So when it comes to cross borders and big transfers, crypto is a good form of payment. When it comes to buying your groceries It is not. And it's
Is it?
actually very expensive as well.
Really?
Yes, compared to your normal card.
We hear a lot about CBDCs and tokenized deposits. How do these technologies threaten cryptocurrencies?
I wouldn't say threaten.
Mm-hmm.
This blockchain technology obviously is going to be adopted by the institutions and by let's say, the decentralized community. And it's good for us users who want to use cryptocurrency in any form to have this competition between the two. Because let's say the banks are not so happy that there's another currency in place. And they're trying to compete by having their own, which is what you referenced to be the CBDCs. And allowing them to innovate in that direction only competes with the other side of the decentralized world and will only create it to become more safe, secure, and easy to use on both sides. And it's an option for us. It's good for us to have options.
Great. Could you explain in simple terms what is a Bitcoin cycle and the main driving forces behind cryptocurrency rallies?
Now we're getting into the spicy parts. Okay. So a Bitcoin, well, traditionally a cryptocurrency cycle or a Bitcoin cycle is referenced to be this 4-year cycle, because that's how it's been in let's say in 2017, in 2020, in 2024, 25. And one thing that is always seems to occur around that time, or it very strongly relates to, is the halving period. So, halving, yes, something being cut by half. And Bitcoin, in the code of Bitcoin, every 4 years, the Bitcoin supply, or not the actual supply, but the production of Bitcoin is cut by half. And you said it's a cycle of 4 years. Bitcoin is cut every 4 years. There's a relationship between the two. And I believe that event is what kickstarts the usual cycles.
So all the cycles we see, they repeat themselves in a way?
It's definitely one fundamental reason to why the cycle starts. It's the first thing they teach you in economics is supply and demand, right? Once the supply is reduced, price is increased. And the Bitcoin halving is what that is. So, of course, there is that event alongside other events, such as the introduction of new phenomena in the cryptocurrency world, such as ICOs or NFTs. So every time there is a cycle, there's also the new trend, the metaverse, and so on. So I would say the halving starts, everyone starts getting interested again, everyone starts rushing into it.
Yes.
Then everyone's on the top, nobody knows what's happening, and it tumbles down.
Yes.
It just repeats itself every 4 years.
Do you remember any of this case, for a new trend that you were so excited about it as well?
Well, the metaverse and NFTs was definitely an interesting period, because it's the start of something for the future, which we hopefully will discuss later, which is about tokenizing.
Yes.
And you think about artists being able to own their content, or even their artistic work on a digital level, because you can easily just copy anything.
Yes,
online.
100%.
So imagine you have your digital artwork, and you can verify it and lock it as one of one, as an NFT, and you can sell that. But I'm not talking about your cats or whatever this phenomenon is. I'm talking about actual,
artists,
bring in Banksy, let him do a digital artwork, verify it on the blockchain, and sell it as a one of one or one of 10 kind of way.
What made the last bull run so unique compared to the previous ones?
I would say language played a huge role. And when I say language, in the last bull runs in 2017 and 2020, etc., the regulators or the lawmakers or the politicians were always speaking very negatively about this industry. It's a scam. It has no value.
Yes.
It's only for illicit activity and so on. But what we saw in the last 2 years, let's say, is that they changed their tone. They started saying, we want to become a crypto hub. We want to build regulation. We want to make it safe. There's so much potential, so much value. And this also ushered in the institutions, the hedge funds. I think one of the biggest funds were MicroStrategy, I believe. has something around 800 or 850,000 bitcoins. So maybe talking about 20, 30, I think $1 billion worth in that asset. So for someone to bet so much behind something, it means there is some validity behind it.
Yes, 100%. Sometimes I think they knew from the beginning, they just didn't want us to have our hands on it.
Probably, yeah. There's always going to be more, more other investments, more coins that come into the table, and you never know. You might be one of the first investors there, and we'll be hearing about you buying your Lamborghinis and
having my success story.
Exactly.
Do you think Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other major cryptocurrencies can recover beyond their most recent all-time highs? And what signals should we be watching?
In short, yes, I believe so. Simply because I don't think we are late to the party yet. I think this is still something very new. And the value of what we have, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, or other cryptocurrencies, this price that you see is reached because people believe in it for the future. We haven't seen the future yet. And if the future is realized based on their expectations, then the price will follow. That is not to say that every cryptocurrency will always reach new all-time highs. There's plenty who reached it and then tumbled and was never seen again.
Yeah, so it's not too late. We can still go
It's never too late. Just
there is always new opportunity.
Yes, just don't go in blindly. Do the research. I would say in two ways. One is that AI is very helpful for your average trader who is trying to find investment opportunities in this industry, because with AI you can monitor the markets better, you can get your signals better, you can even allow it to trade based on certain metrics without having to be on your PC.
Yeah.
So in one way, AI can help from an investment perspective. And then on the other side, I would say blockchain technology can help AI, because AI is heavily dependent on computational power, on storage and stuff like that. And we all have our PCs, right? And we don't always use them. There's plenty of space on there. And what blockchain technology and some projects in this industry are doing is they're allowing you to leverage that extra storage that you have and sell it to AI systems, so to use it as storage. Another thing is about your data. So AI is heavily dependent on data to run their algorithms. And rather than you, let's say, other institutions leveraging your own data, why not you take control of your data and you sell it on your demand and actually have it as an income source for you? So that's another direction that we might see the two technologies going.
How long you are in the cryptos?
I believe somewhere around 9 to 10 years now.
How it's changed through the years for you?
I will tell you, I can see it for sure in the different people that are in it. So when it started, it was this geeky kind of thing, nerds or some technology. What is this, And then as it started getting more and more popular, now you have, I don't know, Tom Brady advertising it, or there's all these celebrities around it, big names on Bloomberg and so on. So it's nice to see that a certain group of people who just believed in this and stood by it and saw it grow and listened to all the hate and all the different criticism, but said, no, this is something for the future for all of us, and stood by it. So I would say that it's enjoyable to see that journey.
Another thing that affects cryptos is politics. So how have the recent geopolitical tensions, including the US-Iran war and all the conflicts in the Middle East, affected crypto markets?
It definitely took its toll. Cryptocurrencies are considered to be a risky asset class. So risky asset class, whenever there is any instability in the market, is always the first ones to be hit by it. Of course, these wars are very unfortunate. And it's because it's still seen cryptocurrencies as an investment rather than a use case. It's only an investor's, let's say, asset. It's not a it's not a real world asset in that sense, because they say Bitcoin is a safe haven. It's your way out. It's something that you can protect and move wherever you want. But it's unfortunate because in these times you should see it stabilize and actually grow. Like if you see gold, it grows when there's instability, but
Yes.
Bitcoin doesn't. Yeah.
So it's not your safe haven in that way.
It's being pulled in both directions. Some people are trying to take it as a safe haven, and the others are just looking at it as an investment.
We all think that if everything goes, digital and cryptos and your money it's all digital in a way, the worries about having internet, being able to pay. So how that works for crypto?
Actually, an interesting thing about cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin here, it does not need internet. It's not dependent on internet. If you memorize your private key, which is what you use to unlock your wallet and to actually do your transfers, and you prepare and you sign a transaction, even if you write it on a piece of paper.
Yes.
As long as you reach someone with access to the network, he could process your transaction.
Okay.
So it's not limited to internet or in some way any type of institutional control. You can have it within your community. We can have it with me and you and the people that are here, running our own node on one computer or one software.
So you mean as long as somebody has access to it, you can still do the transactions?
Exactly, because what is it? It's just I have a ledger, and it's just someone updating the entries. I had 10, you had 5. And I'm saying to the guy who's running that ledger, I'm giving you 2. Now you have 7 and I have 8.
Yeah.
This is all it is. And I just want to stress a bit about, because of the situations of war and so on, the actual potential of blockchain technology and crypto here. Because in these moments, you realize how dependent you are on stability, on governments verifying. And even in a way, you can say, I'm only Marwan because the government says I'm Marwan on my ID. But in case if I'm just seeing you guys and I don't have any paperwork on me and I tell you my name is Marwan, there's no verification.
True.
So you wouldn't know. And now think of your ownership of land or the building.
Still that paper.
Exactly. So as long as that paper still exists in some sort of old building, municipal building, other than that, there's no way to prove I own it.
Yes.
So blockchain technology, what does it do? You take that asset, you take that paper and you upload it on the blockchain, and now it exists for everyone to see and can always be verified.
Yeah.
So you will never fall into this trap of, if God forbid your country or the community around you somehow faces a crisis and you come back 10 years later, this is still my land, this is still my assets. And also when you think about your credentials, your university certificates, we've seen with immigration a lot of people that move and they're doctors, they're engineers, and there's no way to verify it because the institution that they got their credentials from is no longer there. So this is something that I'm very interested in, to see how we upload our lives to the blockchain and have it as a protection and as backup in case things go wrong.
And because we speak about the government, do you think it will be the same if the governments get too much involved in that process? It's just curiosity, because it's still a daily question between people arguing about that point.
You're getting me in trouble.
Okay, we can skip.
No, I'm joking. Look, when there is a trend, when the wave is coming in, you cannot stop it.
Yes.
If you're a government or whatever, you cannot stop it. Because our human instinct is to always find ways to evolve and to improve. And if we believe in something and that something brings us value as a community, one person saying it doesn't, voices will always overshadow it and push it to the side. So and we saw this because, like I said before, the tone of voice about cryptocurrencies was negative, but people still pushed. And now the tone of voice became positive because people started seeing, there's value behind this. There's a great demand for it. So the same thing with this aspect.
Before we move further, I want to also ask you, we've seen cases where cryptocurrencies were more resilient than the local currencies, like the Iranian rial. Would you consider Bitcoin a safe haven for investors in such cases?
Yes, I do, because we heard all from our parents and grandparents how gold is used as a backup. And you would keep your gold and your jewelry and so on at home just in case something like this happens. But gold and jewelry takes effort to move. You have to
Yes.
carry it. It's risky. Someone could rob you while you're on the move, and so on. What Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies offer is that there is no physical, tangible thing that you pick up and you move. It's all online. And all you need to remember is that phrase or if that private key. You can memorize it, have it on a piece of paper, and that's all you need to move. So if you do if you do want to keep some value locked away, diversified for situations like this, Bitcoin is definitely, and other cryptocurrencies are a good options to have.
Now you say this, and I'm thinking about the banking system, like, the case in Cyprus where people, like everywhere, they put their money in the bank because it's a safe place and they will not rob you and everything. And one day they woke up and they didn't have money in the bank anymore. So will you consider that this might be happening with cryptos as well, maybe in one case? Is it something we need to keep in mind and somehow protect ourselves if we have cryptos? Like that is a safe way to keep them?
Any institution will fall into the same case. So there's the case about one of the first cryptocurrency exchanges called Mt. Gox was people thought that that's the way to acquire cryptocurrencies and keep it safe, but then it collapsed as well along with all the cryptocurrencies on it. And if I'm not mistaken, I think till now they're still under liquidation trying to pay back what was lost. So this opens the question of, if you are an investor in cryptocurrencies, you should not just invest on it in the aspect of price, but also in the aspect of understanding how the technology works. So I buy the cryptocurrency from, let's say, Binance or any other cryptocurrency exchange, but understand that while it's still there, it's at risk because it's not in your control.
Yes.
What you need to do is you need to take it out and understand how to have your own wallets. Something that you can hold in a USB device or your mobile phone or even on a piece of paper. And that would be that's actually what they call having a cold wallet. Something that is disconnected offline, something that you can only use and you use it very rarely.
Yes.
And that's the best way to secure your assets. But even at that stage, I would say you're still dependent on the technology.
Yes.
There is a case, for example, I think Ethereum, where people found a loophole in the technology, and even if it's in your wallet, if there's a problem in the technology and in the code, someone can get access to your wallet and pull it out. So that's again why doing your research is very important, and that's also why people still go with Bitcoin as the actual cryptocurrency, because it's reputable, it has its history, and people haven't fallen into this trap with it.
Also, about governments. Are the governments accelerating or slowing down crypto adoption because of global instability?
I think we see both cases. And I think it's mainly whether the country itself or the government itself is dependent on trade. So if it's a trade hub, for example, like Cyprus, there's a lot of people coming in and out, shipping lanes, etc. Adopting cryptocurrency suits it because it's an industry that allows for more trade, for more activity, for more talented personnel to come in to the island. If I'm a government of a conservative country where more control over my currency is needed, then I would shut the door on other assets, because these assets that come in will, diminish my control over the financial situation of the country. Now, for the common user, like I said before, adoption is what's needed, because everyone needs to have options. You cannot not give people options.
Do you think they could even teach it in school in a way?
We referenced mass adoption before, and this is the beginning. Once you actually start having it in the normal curriculum to learn how these things work and understand them, that's when mass adoption will come.
Because it's the future in a way.
Yes.
Yes. Like
Maybe it already is. I don't know. Because again, you want to give the new generation all the necessary knowledge and tools for the
yes.
future. And if you're not teaching them this, and you're not teaching them about AI and stuff like that, then
They're
you're not
falling
really
behind.
equipping them for the future.
Yeah, and your country as well. Like they are your country's future, these people.
Exactly, exactly.
Yes. So what do you think are the biggest crypto trends in 2026 that beginners should be paying attention to?
I think when we discussed about NFTs, I said this as well about tokenization. And this is very interesting because with inflation nowadays, you hear it from your colleagues, your friends, and so on.
Yes.
It's very difficult to own assets, right? It's very difficult to own your apartment or the house or so on. And this new technology, what it's trying to do is it's trying to take a real world asset like an apartment and break it down into multiple tokens, allowing you with $100, let's say, or €100 to buy a piece of that property and earn from its rent, earn from its rise in value. And this is also, very, very interesting.
Yeah, the first time I hear about that. It's very interesting.
And this can also be translated into artworks, let's say record labels, things like that. So imagine you're following this upcoming artist.
Yes.
You know when you find this new song on Spotify and you start sharing it with all your friends and you feel so proud that you were the first one to listen to it. So it's the same thing.
And then they become super famous. You're like, I heard this song before they become famous.
I used to listen when it was only 500 listeners or 1,000 listeners on Spotify. Well, that has a bit of value, right? In a way,
it does.
You did the marketing for this person and you spread the word about them. So imagine now this guy has on a certain platform, he's selling some tokens for his album. You buy those tokens, so you invested in his album and you start spreading the word. And as his album gets more popular, you're getting value.
Wow.
So this is a direction that it's going. It's very interesting. It's going to be something definitely to watch out for.
You open new doors for our minds now. No, it's true. I mean, I wouldn't think about it in that way. Like,
yeah, because we are as humans. It's all about community and these kind of things, and the way we push each other further is by spreading the word, trying out your coffee shop, your advertising your business and etc. So this is a way to also make it a two-way street.
Yes.
I'm not just giving it to you. I'm also being rewarded by it.
Do ETFs change the original purpose of cryptocurrencies?
Yes, I would say so, because going back to what I said earlier with the creator of Bitcoin, how he had that phrase about banks being bailed out. I believe, especially when we talk about Bitcoin and the big cryptocurrencies, they're not meant to be an investment. You're not meant to buy them and hold them. Because this, like I said about this fund, MicroStrategy, which holds 800,000 Bitcoins, around 4% or 5%. If these funds now accumulate 20-30% of Bitcoin, the average person, what's the point of going into Bitcoin? And this is also the trap, because me and you now can do an exact copy of Bitcoin and run it. It's the exact same system, exact same technology. And as long as that community that's around Bitcoin migrates to the new one, the old one has no value anymore, because you're only buying this number on a ledger, and you might have 800,000 or 5%. But if you are not part of the community, if you're not giving value back, it's very easy for that community to then go to something else. And I could see that if hedge funds and ETFs and so on get so accumulate so much of a certain currency, then the normal retail person will just move away to the next one, and value will significantly drop. I'm actually extremely concerned about this guy with 800,000, that in the case where the price goes against him, he's going to sell 800,000 Bitcoin. It's not The liquidity is not there. Some people just hold on to it and never sell it. They, in a way, one Bitcoin is worth one Bitcoin. It's not worth 120. It's worth 120,000 because the market says
Today.
120,000.
Yeah.
But if the dollar value is not like you said about some currencies being devalued, the Iranian rial or the Turkish lira or something like that. Well, one Bitcoin was worth 10, let's say, and now one Bitcoin is worth 100,000. Does that mean that Bitcoin is now a great investment, or does that mean that the hedge against the dollar or the rial was failing? So, I wouldn't put a lot of emphasis on that relationship of the ETFs and the hedge funds with cryptocurrencies. I would more focus about the use case. And if the use case is not there, the more that they go down that direction, the more people will go the other way.
People like to go the other way and create something new.
I'm telling you, chaos. Everyone likes chaos and revolution and these kind of things.
More interesting things come out of the chaos, apparently.
Nobody wants stability and everything works out normally and everyone's like, no.
Talking about stability, if stablecoins become the internet's dollar, what does that mean for traditional currencies and the evolution of forex trading?
It's a very good question. Stablecoins is the bridge between the traditional world and this new crypto blockchain world. And it definitely pushes the traditional financial world to up their game. For example, in the forex industry, the market is 24/5, so 5 days a week. Weekends there's no activity. Crypto markets are 24/7. There's always a market. And what lately started happening is that traditional assets like gold and oil and silver started being trading against stablecoins like USDT, thus making them a 24/7 market rather than a 24/5 market. So definitely that is one, we'll call it threat, but it's a new way of trading. And there is also, when you look at the technology where decentralized finance or the DeFi terminology comes into play, that's also something to look out for, because rather than the institution being the market maker, now you can, as an individual, be your own market maker and also leverage all of these different financial services like loans, crowdfunding. It's all now migrating or creating a new space in that industry.
You spoke earlier about the communities, people creating this crypto. How easy is it for somebody to create their own crypto?
Oh, very easy.
Really?
Very easy. Actually, there's platforms now where you can just go and write a name, put a picture on it, and that's your new token. I would rephrase it like this: how easy it is to create a website. Very easy. You just buy a domain and you put it online, right? It's the same thing. It uses the internet and anyone can go and create a website. Same thing with these tokens. You just choose which blockchain you want. You copy that code, you give it the name, you say how many tokens I want to create, and you throw it out there. Now, do they have any value? No.
How do they get value, for example, in a way?
It's just about the use case. If it has, well, two things. One is it a community around it that is building and investing into that? So I create a coin, or let's say it's this mug.
Yes.
And I go and every day I am adding a new line or a square on this mug. Every day I'm investing into it, adding it. By a month later, the whole mug has a design, artistic design.
Yes.
Is the value of the mug the same at the beginning as it is now? No. Why? Because people put in the work. It's the same thing with these tokens. If there's a community investing in it, developing it, and there is an actual problem that it's trying to solve, then it starts slowly gaining value. It gets investors in, people start talking about it, and then it becomes what it is.
Nice. So it's much easier than we think about.
Yeah.
But first you need the community.
Yes.
In order to push this coin.
Grab all your friends and
do it. Cryptocurrencies, just like AI, often gets criticized for energy consumption. How big of a challenge is this today?
Very, very good question. And it is a big challenge. And it's good to understand first why it uses so much energy. Let's talk just simply about the Bitcoin blockchain. So the Bitcoin blockchain has a consensus mechanism, how we agree that this is the state of the Bitcoin blockchain or the ledger. And what it does, it uses this form that's called proof of work. What does that mean? It means that you have to put in effort. In a way, you have to put the money where your mouth is, right? You have to put in the work to verify that this is the state. So I have something to lose in a way. And if I have something to lose, you would trust me.
Yes.
Because
100%. Who wants to lose?
Exactly. So that's how Bitcoin works. But what they did not foresee is that the competition would be so high that people will just grow and grow the amount of work that they put. So it started with, your computer at home doing this, but it became warehouses filled with computers and GPUs and so on, optimized to the highest level in order to do this, because it's also the reward of this is Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's price went up. So it's worth the investment for these people. Unfortunately, that consumes a lot of energy and is very bad for the world, basically, for the environment. And the challenge here is this the right way to do this, this type of consensus mechanism? So Ethereum, as an example, doesn't have this consensus mechanism, proof of work. It has something called proof of stake, where rather than you invest in machines, you just put money. And you say, I own 100,000 Ethereum, I lock this away, and because I lock it away, you allow me to do the verifications, and if I do a verification wrong or if I lie, you take my 100,000 away. So again, it's about losing value, thus creating a trust.
True.
And as again, because we're so early, and as this technology keeps advancing, I'm sure there's going to be plenty more of these forms of consensus mechanisms that come in with the idea of the environment in their head, because we cannot. I mean, Bitcoin is, I believe, in the top 30 consumers on a country level of energy. You don't want this. It's a waste.
There were innumerable pump and dumps with crypto projects. How has this affected investor confidence in crypto?
Going back to your question about how easy it is to create a coin. And this is one of the biggest reasons behind pump and dumps. There's actually this platform called Pump Fun, I believe, on Solana. And it makes it very easy. Like I said, you just put in a name and a coin and a picture, and the market is live. Anyone can buy it and trade it. And when people started seeing this, it created this environment where a lot of people with YouTube channels or a following will start advertising this coin. You just see it go up, 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 up. And then they released the information that let's all sell now.
It was hype, and then they went down.
Exactly, and then it goes to zero, and then nobody talks about it again. And I said, I'm curious. I wanted to try this out.
Did you?
I didn't do a pump and dump, just to say. I just tried to see how these things work. So I went on this platform, and remember, I don't know if you know, Trump has his own coin.
Don't tell me I lost 8,500.
Yeah, so
it was not my money, it's the money I made through cryptos, but this Trump was a big
so it's just, again, anyone can make their own coin, and Trump apparently is one of these people. So on this platform, people started leveraging this. So you had Eric coin and all of his family member coins, and Elon Musk coin, and there's like 20 different Eric coins. And I remember I put $20 worth of Solana on the platform, and I started just buying random coins just to see how this thing worked. And I bought this, one of them was the Eric coin. It was on their front page, they're advertising it, 300% up, hyping it up. And I bought it, and I started watching the chart, and the chart is just going up, 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 up. And my $5 became like $200. But that wasn't the point. The point wasn't, I wasn't investing, I was trying it out. And I remember I turned my face for a split second, and I go back, and I just see red line like that.
Not even $5.
Zero. And I just looked at it and I just laughed. But it is very unfortunate because people fall into this trap.
When we look back at the biggest failures in crypto, FTX, Luna, Celsius, were there any warning signs that most people missed?
Um, Well, FTX, definitely there was warning signs because it's just the kid in the Bahamas with all his friends running a massive multi-billion-dollar corporation. So that is definitely a warning sign. But I wouldn't say it's that simple to see or to understand, because all of these have actual legitimacy. These the examples that you just gave, and it also highlights how much this industry depends on trust.
Yes.
As soon as you have a hint that something is not what it seems, it's chaos. Everything is collapsing one after the other, like dominoes.
Yes.
And FTX was like that. Celsius was the reason why Celsius went bankrupt is because of FTX, because they had their money with them. Luna, again, is about the dependency of that this asset is dependent on code, and if that code has a loophole or some bug and someone takes advantage of it, then it becomes worthless. And the story of Luna was that they tried to do a stablecoin, and someone managed to find a loophole and basically print money or something like that from the system, and it just collapsed.
Yes.
I would say there is no warning signs, but I would say that just highlights how important it is to spend some time learning how these things work. So at least to give you an opportunity to maybe get a whiff of something not what it seems.
How do you think people learn better? Like from watching others, like learning from what they're saying, or trying in small amounts just to see the real behavior of each investment they do?
I would say both. However, it's always you should always be cautious on who you listen to, because some people just go online and say
it's a
everything.
trend.
They
Everybody tells you how to make money, but they don't have money.
Yeah, you can be whoever you want online, right?
Nobody will know.
Yeah, so it's better to choose the right people to listen to. And like you said, it's very good to experiment, like how I did on this pump platform. I heard about it. I heard about the pump and dumps. I just wanted to experience it for myself to understand, because there are projects that go through that system that survive and they become multi-million or billion markets, let's say. But yeah, don't just take the advice of your colleagues or friends. Buy this coin. This is perfect. Trade on this exchange. Start slow, gradually grow, build your confidence, and that's the right way to do it.
Yes. Do you think it's better to focus on one coin or multiple? Or is it easier if they choose only Bitcoin or only Solana in order to understand the behavior of the coin?
Yeah, it's definitely helpful to just focus on one at the beginning, but this industry, you cannot just stick with one. You have to go to the others, because each one works differently. Ethereum works completely differently to Bitcoin, as does Solana, as does Ripple. There's ones that are decentralized, the others are centralized. There's different types of consensus mechanisms to each. Each one has its own use case. Like one is utility, one is store of value, one is about banks like Ripple. So it's good to diversify.
Does Bitcoin, though, affect the whole system in a way, like the currencies? Let's say if something goes wrong with Bitcoin, can that affect Ethereum?
Not on a network perspective, not on a technology perspective, but surely on a price or a confidence level, because Bitcoin is the flagship. If one day we wake up and someone finds a loophole in Bitcoin,
that means there might be loopholes everywhere, and things also can happen.
It just makes it, the investors' confidence is definitely wavering. But I would still say that even if Bitcoin falls one day, because the technology is so legitimate and revolutionary, there will be another Bitcoin that comes in. Maybe not in the next, let's
immediately
say
or something.
It will come in a later stage.
What do you think matters more than to trust? The decentralization, regulation, or transparency?
I would say transparency. Transparency for sure. And this is the one of the intrinsic parts of blockchain technology, is that everything is transparent. You can go online and you can see every single wallet, and what money it has and what it transacted and what it did. And this just builds trust. It builds value.
And what do you think is the biggest misconception people have about easy money in crypto? And how can beginners learn to spot the red flags? Will they be able to spot those red flags?
Once you reference easy money, that's a red flag straight away. Right? So, there's a saying in our industry where we say when your typical, let's say, barista or janitor or so on is talking about investing, that's when things get scary, because once something becomes that spread out that everyone's into it, it's something that is over leveraged or overpriced, and something big is coming. And why is that? Because the average person is not a hedge fund investor who's constantly watching the markets, learning all the metrics, the fundamentals, the technical analysis. So you, as the normal person who's just on his phone buying Bitcoin for the sake of it, as competing with these hedge funds with AI tools and algorithms and so on. And if you're trying to compete with them, then it's not easy money. It cannot be easy. It's easy money because they're pulling you in.
Yes.
And when it's time for them to pull the plug, they will pull the plug.
And you won't even. You will turn your head like you
said.
That's
when you see, that's when you see the big red candle all the way down.
Which cryptocurrencies do you consider a safe long-term investment, if there is such a thing? Like, do you have some specific ones that you can suggest?
Disclaimer, I'm not giving any investment advice here.
Yes, you will write it anyway. It's like on your personal preference, maybe.
Yeah, I would say it's... does it have a problem that it's solving? Is there actual value? Is it actually a use case? Ethereum has an actual use case. Bitcoin has an actual use case. And there's many other on this list. If you see, especially if it's related to your work, if you see that this thing can help you do your work easier, that's something worth investing in. If you just see it as... I have no idea what this coin is. It's just a name. It has a trendy name. I see it everywhere on Twitter or X nowadays. Then I wouldn't say that that's a long-term investment. You can play around with it and invest into it for a week or a month or so on, just to grab the trend. But if you're actual building a portfolio for long-term, you need to put in the research. You need to study what that token is about, or what that blockchain is trying to do, what problems it's trying to solve. As an example, and that's the thing that people usually miss. Ethereum, to function before, was expensive. There was times when the NFT market came in, there was a lot of traffic on Ethereum, and because of the traffic, it became very expensive. Every time you're doing a transaction, you're paying $20 up to $100 for every transaction. So what did other blockchain enthusiasts do? They created a layer above it, which it's called optimism, arbitrium, etc., where they're tackling a specific problem, which is Ethereum is expensive, so I will do it cheap. So it's as simple as this, and it could bring something into fruition. Bitcoin is also expensive. They tried to make it to increase the block size, to make it faster and cheaper. So as long as there's something that they're trying to solve, at least that's the first step into something that you might consider as a long-term investment.
And would you advise day trading or no? Is it a good thing to do? For example, for somebody who doesn't know, because sometimes people think, oh, I would go, and if I make, I don't know, $100 a day or 200 with day trading, maybe it's a good income.
It depends on what you want it to be. So is it your primary job? Because if it's your primary job, that means that you're spending 8 hours a day watching the markets, doing your research and planning your day trading strategy. If it's just, I want to make $100 every now and then okay, you can find 8 hours in a week to go and also try a trade. If you're trying to work your normal job and also be a day trader at the same time, and you're not giving it the amount of time that it needs, you will get lucky. You will have some good trades.
And you can get unlucky too.
I would say on a long-term perspective, percentage-wise, you will be losing more than you will be making.
True. For someone who's starting with a couple of $100, let's say, now that we speak about this topic, what are some simple ways to invest in cryptocurrencies?
I would say the simple way is through your normal, traditional brokerage or financial application, right? So you can, because they make it easy for you to buy, but you're not actually buying the asset itself. You're buying a representation of the asset. That is easy, and that's a good way to start because you're not planning on, let's say, holding on to this or actually using it for the purpose that it's created for. You're just buying it for the purpose of the fluctuation in price.
Yes.
But then as you start wanting to go a bit deeper, that's when you move away from your platform ways and you go into, you acquire it through an exchange or a friend or whoever has them. And then you go into the decentralized world where you have your wallet, you have access to smart contracts or through Ethereum, for example, or different types of DeFi applications. So easy way to start off, just go with your normal brokerage. And as you progress or you become more advanced, start experimenting on the other side.
What opportunities does trading cryptocurrencies have in comparison to hodling?
Cryptocurrencies are quite a volatile market, right? So usually in this 4-year cycle that we're talking about, you can have cryptocurrencies shoot up 10 times their price, and they always drop 50-60%. So if I'm just holding through this, I see the high and I also see the low, and I'm missing what's in between, right? Always the most advanced or the best trader is trying to sell on the high and buy on the low. But again, it requires time and effort to know and understand when a high could be reached. So if you are a kind of buy and hold for 10 years and I just don't want to have the headache, I don't want to have the stress, I just want to buy it and hope that it's a good investment for 10 years time. Maybe I'll give it to my kids or for their university, whatever. If that's the case, then hodling, as the terminology says, is the right strategy for you. But if you are if you're more involved into it and you want to actually trade both sides, then having a strategy to buy high or low, or maybe write your own trading algorithm and allowing it to run on its own could be more beneficial in the long run.
Does CFD trading simplify the crypto trading process?
Yes, it does. Because again, if you're only interested in the profit side, let's say, and you're not planning on keeping the cryptocurrency, then the best way to do that is through CFD trading. And it's also probably more favorable with your, let's say, from the tax side or from the banking side, because a lot of banks don't like it when you tell them you're making your profit in Bitcoin.
Yes.
But with when you're trading
they
with a brokerage,
still don't like it, really?
Of course.
They don't have access to it yet. That's right.
I've never been. I always try to stay on the right side. Let's say I don't do anything wrong. But it's funny how when I go to my bank and I kind of reference that my background is in this, how the look changes as if I've committed a crime or something.
How should beginners also think about risk management in such volatile market? What would you say on that?
Risk management is, well, I would say number one is don't be greedy. Take your profits. When you see you're in profit, exit. And if you're also in a loss, do not overinvest more than you're willing to lose. And because it's a volatile market, have in mind that whatever amount you're putting in, most likely you will lose it. And do not try to overcompensate or to overinvest. Always have a strategy. Don't have your emotions take over. If you start feeling frustrated, if you feel that the heart rate's starting to go up, close the PC, close your phone, walk away. If you're in loss, you will make it back.
You can also always use the stop loss, so you are prepared for these cases.
What usually happens is you have the stop loss is hit, and then you enter again because you're like, no, it will go up.
It will go. You believe in it, the faith is.
Just don't just throw it in. Have a strategy, do your research, control your emotions, and have a plan. There should be always a goal. have a number in your mind. I want to, let's say, profit $200 today. Once I reach the profit of 200, you
Right.
close, you try again tomorrow, and you have
Yes.
another plan. I want to do 300 tomorrow. But if you see that you've done 200 and because I've done 200, I can make more, that's the trap.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's most of the time there where people lose it.
Yes.
I know by fact. Unfortunately.
From experience.
Yes, from experience. We're coming to the end of the podcast, and I wanted to ask you, what does the future of money and cryptocurrency adoption look like to you 10 years from now?
That's a very difficult question because it's still very new, right? It's not something that is legitimate now in the sense of it's set in stone.
Yes.
Anything, there might be a new idea that comes in and that completely revolutionizes cryptocurrency for the future. Now, some people might say that cryptocurrency in the future is AI cars driving by themselves, having their wallets, paying for probably not gas, probably electricity chargers to top up the cars. And this kind of like network of AI, all connected world in the future. But when have we ever seen in the future and it came true? I think people thought that we will have flying cars by now. I don't see any flying cars around.
But they will have the ones that they park themselves. So we are the ones
exactly. So we might have the idea of Bitcoin as the payment, but we might get a car that parks itself. So
yes,
you never know. It's cause and effect, right? So whatever our environment is pushing us towards will guide us to what it will become in the future.
Yeah, true. Great. Thank you, Marwan. It was a great pleasure having you and this conversation. For me, at least, it was very educational.
I'm glad you and the listeners can learn from this. Great. Thank you very much for having me.